and Arthur's chess is essentially a sport. So as we know, in the many different sports, there are people wearing some sport clothes, t-shirts, and so on, getting comfortable, and especially in the Blitz, you need more time.
And the games are starting officially. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're following the game of Matthias Bluebaum against Levon Aronian. D4, D5, C4, C6. Immediately going for some really sharp stuff. And look at the speed they're playing it out. They really know this stuff.
Oh, they're playing it all out. They have been preparing. And we see that the pawn was captured. And E5 is pushed. Oh, the moves are happening so fast. So what we can shortly say, it's a Slav defense in the position. Black is having extra pawn, and white is getting more space in the center.
Yeah, they're playing very quickly here. Also, white just played b3, black immediately played bishop a6, not protecting the pawn on c4. Also, knight e7 here. So I don't think, again, we are going to have many opportunities to draw a lot of arrows, explain everything in detail. We'll just focus on what we have at present here. Here in this game, Aronian versus Bluebaum, I think white is going to recapture the pawn on c4. This is precisely what happened. There is some pressure against the pawn on c6, as you can see here, but at least according to an engine, the position is still balanced. I'm not really sure if in a blitz game it matters, but so far, the players are playing high-class chess.
You have also to watch out for some c5 breaks, which will happen in the position. By the way, immediately played by Levon, so apparently it's working, probably due to the some chances of bringing the rook out and pinning the pawn. So let's see how Matthias is going to react in this position.
Makes sense to accept it. D takes on c5 is on the board. A pawn is a pawn. After all, you could always protect it, even by something like c6. Levon pauses for a moment. That's a bit surprising because I would have thought that he already had this side. What's he going to continue? Is it going to be something like queen c7, hit a pawn on c5, or go after the pawn on e5, or maybe there's other ideas? No, rook c8.
Yeah, there are some ideas, but of course just going for the pawn. And as we know, if black is just striking with a c5, trading the pawns, only problem could be this e5 pawn. It looks to me that it's just dividing positions in two halves in this opening, and maybe some attack on the king side, something what white can watch out for.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. It's a great call, like c6. Okay, I think that here Matthias says pretty much goodbye to the pawn on c6. I don't think he can hold it, but like you said, Angelika, I'm thinking that if white could somehow teleport the queen to g4, it's a very common square for these positions when you have the pawn on e5. Eyeball for the pawn on h6, go for some attack, because one thing I have definitely noticed in blitz games is that it really matters if you have an attack.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense to start attack, and your opponent will not have so much time, try to figure it out. Knight b8 now attacking the pawn. Of course, black has to spend some time to take the pawn, and this is a time which Matthias now can try to use to produce some attacking opportunities.
Knight d4. I was actually thinking more like knight g3, but okay, he is going to try to protect this pawn. My idea was to remove the other knight, put it here, play queen g4, and go for this attack. Knight d4 also seems to be reasonable. Like you can play stuff like maybe rook fc1, rook ab1, hold on to the pawn. And here Aronian is thinking, is he really out of the prep here?
No, he looks like that he is not, and he's now attacking the queen. But doesn't it just help white to relocate the queen to the king side? The problem is the knight is hanging, so you have to watch out, and you have to also watch out where do you step away with the queen, because you don't want your queen to be pinned. Wow, queen d5. We see Aronian in his element being super active, super creative, finding all these ideas. He's not capturing the pawn, but first he's trying to improve all his pieces and the queen in the game.
Looks really interesting. Queen d5 attacking the knight on e4, hitting the pawn on c6. Again, if I'm white, I'm thinking about those attacking chances. But how do I do it? The knight on e4 is under attack. Can I play rook e1, queen g3? Or do I toss in the knight on d6? But again, I have a feeling that this pawn on e5... Oh, by the way, the pawn on e5 is also under attack, not only the knight on e4. It's a great practical move here by the Armenian player.
And if you're trying to defend the pawn, how do you do so? Wow,
whoa, knight f6.
Sacrifice.
Wow. I was looking at this, but I was afraid to call it out because I didn't really believe it. It might work, but Matthias spent here like 20 seconds, and he found it. The point is after g takes on f6, there's going to be bishop takes on h6, queen g3, and white has at least some sort of an attack, or maybe at least material balance.
He's playing creatively and against one of the most creative chess players in the world. What a challenge from the German grandmaster. Matthias, he sacrifices a knight, and Will they see the attack going? By the way, what's the next move? Because now queen e5, taking the pawn, stopping all kind of queen g3. Where do you bring a queen? And what do you do actually here? Do you play...
Rook e1, yeah, something.
Oh.
Yeah, Rook e1 is on the board, and actually I love the body expression of Aronian. He's like, I'm not impressed. You know, I also fully expected the being sacrificed here. So what Matthias is saying here, that he can always take on a fate whenever he wants, but he wants to play something like Rook e3, Rook g3, and go after the black king. As you can see, the valuation bar favors white.
Yeah, and it would be such a huge result for overall standings because Levon is currently leading the tournament. So important for Matthias to strike, but queen h5 is on the board. He's attacking the bishop, asking some question. Would Matthias just defend the bishop or give some checks? So it's a bit tricky position.
Very difficult moment here because you can play queen g3, queen g6, trade the queens, take on the fate, take the pawn on e6, or instead you take on the fate immediately and try to go for the attack. Which is the right choice?
And he's giving up the bishop.
So he is going for the attack.
Ooh.
Queen h6, brilliant idea. Rook g3, rook h3. Black gonna take the bishop because he's gonna drop the queen.
Absolutely insane. Second brilliant move for Matthias Bluebaum in this game for sacrificing knight. Now sacrificing the bishop because you cannot take it. You will lose the queen. What will Levon do in this position?
It's all about the attack, and only 45 seconds for each player. Rook g3 is a massive move. Again, Engine says that black is fine, but it really matters who is the one who is attacking, and his name is Matthias Bluebaum.
Yeah, Matthias can do so. You should not mess with him. He is a bit nervous, we can see from his body language. But of course, you would be if you're playing against someone like Levon Aronian. By the way, 26 seconds right now for Levon. He has to make a decision.
Knight e5, rook g3, king h. I think something like queen d3, rook h3 makes sense. I have a feeling that Aronian wants to give away the queen. Exactly that happens. King h6, rook h3. He's going to try to set up some kind of a fortress. But here it is Bluebaum who has excellent winning chances.
Yeah, because he's going to have a very naked king there on the king side, and you can easily bring your rook to the game. You can just push your pawn and bring the rook over there. You also have a knight in the position. Of course, if we count material, it's rook and 2 pieces against rook, but we just bring the rook.
Rook d1, rook d3, rook g3. Watch out for this idea. Aronian needs to figure out where to place the king. Probably king g7 and run for his life
Or
against the attack.
Or f4, rook f3. Also just bringing...
Also here, rook d1 is a move. So here, Bluebaum has at least a draw in his pocket.
Well, he's thinking, will he continue the attack or not? And he has half a minute right now on the clock, 30 seconds. He's trying to make up his mind. He has a draw in the pocket. Will he go for it or will he attack?
Black can also play rook g8, and that's what Matthias is trying to calculate. So rook g8, king g7, king f8. Can he afford to go for more? I think so, but the more time he's spending here, it looks like he might force the draw. Or is he still going to try to play for the win?
10 seconds. He's giving a check. One more check.
Only plus 2 seconds per every move. It looks like it's going to be a draw. There's a draw. Wow.
Okay. We have another games ongoing. I suggest to go to one game which is still happening in the Generations Challenge. Tong Shao against Alexander Kostyuk.
Tong Shao. All right, let's go.